Today, streaming services have a lot of problems with adapting of fantasy universes. For example, The Witcher series from Netflix. This summer, the third season was released, which became a complete nightmare. The Wheel of Time from Amazon turned out to be a parody of the original. The Rings of Power were the biggest disaster of last year. The only ray of sunshine in this darkness was the universe of Ice and Flame from HBO. The House of the Dragon, of course, hasn't yet reached the level of popularity of the Game of Thrones, but still it looked very good. Especially when you consider that HBO aims to create a whole ambitious universe of ice and fire. Some time ago a number of projects were officially announced. The film adaptation of the story about Dunk and Egg, the creation of the first sequel series about Jon Snow with the working name Snow, and at least 3 to 4 more projects in active development. And all of them were personally supervised by George Martin, who transferred the rights to his works until 2026. However, not so long ago, Martin stunned everyone. He said that the deal with HBO has been suspended, and he himself is no longer taking part in joint work with the company. Everyone was shocked after this statement. After all, the Dragon House is the last worthy fantasy universe. So today you will know all the details of this scandal, as well as what will be the future of the second and subsequent seasons of the House of the Dragon. Why Martin decided to break up with HBO. Will he finish the book The Winds of Winter faster because of this? And what will be the future of Game of Thrones universe? George Martin has been an HBO partner for more than 10 years. In 2021, the writer signed a new 5-year contract for an 8-figure sum. According to the contract, he had to develop a lot of content for the network and its streaming service. After signing this contract, George Martin plunged headlong into his labors. He worked as a consultant for the TV series House of the Dragon. He also worked on the spin-off of the House of the Dragon and the series about Princess Nemra and the events that took place 1,000 years before the events of Game of Thrones. And as you know, a prequel series of Game of Thrones about the adventures of Donkey and Egg called Knight of the Seven Kingdoms was officially announced some weeks ago. The author of the books, George Martin, had to take an active part in it. He could even become a showrunner. Plus, the company plans to shoot a sequel to Game of Thrones about Jon Snow. In general, HBO together with Martin wanted to make their own fantasy universe, just like Netflix tried to do with the Witcher series. But Netflix failed in this field due to a non-thought-out policy, while the House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones had more chances. But on the 1st of June, Martin suspended the deal with HBO because of the writer's strike. He wrote in his personal blog the same. This strike is not about famous writers, producers, or showrunners. We are on strike for entry-level screenwriters, editors, students, aspiring actors who have only a couple of lines and dream of becoming stars. In general, the strike of the scriptwriters of America, which I described in detail in the last video, watch it at the link in the description of the video, also hit the Dragon House. Although this is a smash from both sides, because both sides have not been able to agree for the 3rd month. And that's where it gets interesting. After all, you and I do not know the details of the signed contract. Therefore, we do not understand to the end how exactly, and on what terms George Martin terminated it. Also, we do not know whether the deal will be restored and whether HBO has the right to create texts from the universe of Ice and Flame. What we do know for sure is that all the innovations will not affect, for example, the second season of House of the Dragon. Although in terms of the next seasons, there is still a big question. But if we talk about the second season, it is likely to come out in time. Because Martin explained that the release schedule of House of the Dragon has not been changed, and the second season is already half done. All the scripts were finished a few months before the strike began. Nothing has been written since then. Dragon House is being filmed mainly in London and a bit in Wales, Spain, and other places. So filming is still going on. Also, the actors in the series are members of a British trade union and are not allowed to support a strike. So the series is lucky. After all, its creation was not affected by the largest strike of writers and actors in the last 60 years. So here you can be more or less calm. As for other projects in Martin's universe, there are very few specifics. Because George Martin did not transfer the rights to his works to create content based on them, like Andrei Sapkowski did for Netflix. Here everything is organized slightly differently. The writer gave the streamer the right to create a series of anime, cartoons, movies. It does not matter what you want on the basis of the universe created by him until the end of the deal. That is, until 2026. Then HBO expected to conclude the next agreement. But that's not what this is about right now. The fact is that if Martin suspended the contract, the company cannot work with the universe of Game of Thrones and use this content. This is of course very sad, because all fantasy fans are hoping now only on Martin and HBO. Because now, with the exception of Game of Thrones, there are no decent screen adaptations of fantasy universes. And here is such a surprise from old Martin. Unfortunately, representatives of the company has not yet commented on the situation or the future prospects. But Martin himself calms all the fans of his creativity. He says that he does not work with HBO, but writes the latest novel, The Winds of Winter. It is worth noting that he has been writing the last book for about 10 years. And all the time he says that within 1 or 2 years, the book will be ready. So if the strike is over in the next month, things will go back to normal. And if the conflict escalates, which it does, then we could lose all the new Ice and Fire universe adaptations and other future projects. That's it for today. Click like, write a comment, and subscribe to the channel.